Now, the cons of it is, how do you sell a high ticket program, right? How do you actually get in front of people? How do you convince people to make that investment for them to fork out a couple $1,000s, whatever it is? How do you actually go about and get really good at doing that? And that is a huge part of what we talk about in our program, of just really focusing on one thing, because you're never going to be able to sell something high ticket if you've got 5 different package options that you're bouncing between, and you're doing all this kind of marketing, and you're distracted in all these other avenues. The way that we can do it really well and effectively is because it's the only thing that we sell. And we've done it for a long time, and we've really worked and reworked and tweaked our webinars, tweaked our presentations, listened to our calls. Welcome to the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast, where we help tax professionals start and scale a successful service bureau.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast. I'm here with Tia, the tax goddess, and Uncle Daddy Ross, Daddy Uncle Ross, whatever they call him these days.
No relation.
No relation.
And today, the topic of discussion is selling your software, low ticket versus high ticket. We may have discussed concepts like these in other episodes, but I think we're just going to dive a bit deeper onto these topics. But before we do that, remember to subscribe, like, share, comment, all of the above on YouTube and whatever you do on the other podcast platforms. But let's go ahead and, whatever Tia's doing. If you're watching, you see her moving her fingers up and down. So whatever that is. But let's go ahead and dive in. Ross, you want to kick it off with the topic of the conversation then?
Yeah, for sure. This is an interesting one. So first of all, maybe I'll just start the overarching ideas. Like, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you sell high ticket or low ticket. There's all pros and cons. And maybe for even more simplicity, what do we mean low ticket versus high ticket? Because that's more of like a kind of a sales term, I think, that maybe not everyone is familiar with. So low ticket is just a low price point, right? We're just talking about the price of a program, the price of your software. Low ticket is cheap, typically under like $500, right? That's kind of considered low ticket. High ticket would be, $1,000 and more. Usually like $2,000 is more so high ticket, but $1,000, $1,500, right? That's still kind of considered high ticket. And so what we're breaking down today is, what are the benefits, what are the challenges of doing one versus the other? Because, while everyone thinks, oh, it's easier to sell something cheaper, possibly, but now you're in the race to the bottom. And there's a lot of things that you're going to be limited on versus selling something high ticket where you're getting more money up front. It allows you to do more things in your business. So there's a whole lot of stuff that kind of goes on between deciding what you want to do. And ultimately, like I said at the beginning, it really doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to go out and sell your software. It's just, how is your business structured? What are you able to do? And that'll kind of help determine how you want to go about selling your software, whether you do a low ticket offer or a high ticket offer. So we'll kind of break all that stuff down. But maybe we could start with just kind of laying out the pros and cons of each. So we give a little bit more of an understanding of, like, why would I want to do low ticket versus high ticket, or the other way around. So starting with high ticket, because with Service Bureau Accelerator, as an example, right, we are more of a high ticket program, right? It is a bit of an investment to join our program, but a couple reasons why we do that. First of all, we like to go out and generate revenue in our business. A lot of people out there, when they're a service bureau or they're selling software, they have a hard time acquiring clients at a profit, meaning, like, say it costs you $500 to $1,000 to fulfill on a client, and you're only charging $500, you're either breaking even or you might even be losing money for every person that you sign up. And when you're running a business, that is not the greatest scenario to be in. Now, there's areas where that could be okay to operate like that, and we'll cover that in low ticket. But we like high ticket because we have the ability to go out, we can market, we can sell, we can bring on a customer at a profit, meaning all of the marketing expenses, all of our sales commissions, all of our onboarding team, the support, all of that work that goes into onboarding and supporting that customer is basically covered by the amount of money they give us to join our program, right? So that's a huge benefit of high ticket, is that it allows you to have generating revenue so you can reinvest that in your business. You can keep running ads. You can keep marketing and out-marketing your competition by having a higher ticket program. Now, the cons of it is, how do you sell a high ticket program, right? How do you actually get in front of people? How do you convince people to make that investment for them to fork out a couple $1,000s, whatever it is? How do you actually go about and get really good at doing that? And that is a huge part of what we talk about in our program, of just really focusing on one thing, because you're never going to be able to sell something high ticket if you've got 5 different package options that you're bouncing between and you're doing all this kind of marketing and you're distracted in all these other avenues. The way that we can do it really well and effectively is because it's the only thing that we sell. And we've done it for a long time, and we've really worked and reworked and tweaked our webinars, tweaked our presentations, listened to our calls. We've really taken a really deep dive into our entire business and sales process to really get freaking amazing at, I mean, well, I'll say amazing, we'll pat ourselves on the back there, but just to get really good at selling a high ticket product and being able to have good conversion metrics where we can keep the doors, we can keep the lights on, and we can keep everyone paid, and we can still generate a bit of a profit as new customers are coming in. So those are some initial kind of pros and cons of high tickets. Anything you guys want to add into that?
Yeah. So, yes, our program is a high ticket program, but we also teach our members how to sell high ticket programs. So we're not selling you something and then, turning around and give you a low ball offer. One of the features that I love, the terms that we use is white glove service. So I guess if we're opening this up and someone does want to actually sell a high ticket item, what are some key things that they need to provide that white glove service?
I think the challenge that I see people new to selling high ticket is the uncertainty or being uncomfortable doing it. I think a lot of the times
Asking for the money.
Asking for the money, I think, is the biggest thing people struggle with. They're like, okay, like they just keep putting it off because they're scared to say, hey, so do you want to put that on a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? I take Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, whatever. A lot of times it's asking for
Give me the black card, baby.
A lot of times it's them just asking for the money. I think where a lot of people get hung up too is, well, what do I sell that's worth it? Or how do I put this together? So as we see people go, at the time of this recording, we're actually revamping all the trainings for this upcoming season, up after tax season, upcoming service bureau season. And one of the things we're kind of trying to simplify for people is helping them really just pick one offer and stick to it. Like Ross kind of mentioned before, you speak to somebody, will hop on a call with somebody and you'll have your package. But now this person's like, oh, but I want this and this. And now you're trying to think, oh, wait, so how do I make a package to sell them versus addressing the objections on why it doesn't really matter, right? Let's focus on what we have here and moving forward with the sale. So I think a lot of people struggle with that in the beginning when they're trying to wrap their head around sales. But if you can get past that short hump of getting consistent prospects on the phone, speaking to people and getting that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deals, then it just starts becoming easier because now it's like, oh, okay, especially if it's the same thing, because now your fulfillment becomes easier too. But that's probably one of the biggest struggling points that I see with people when they're starting out.
Yeah. Another thing too, you'd asked about white glove, and I'll get into that in a second. But the other thing that I see a lot as well, it actually just left me. All right, let me come back. Let me circle back to that. I had another point on that, and it just literally just disappeared out of my brain because I was like, oh yeah, we got to cover the white glove. Let me start with white glove, and we'll see if it comes back up again. As far as the whole white glove experience, that is definitely something that is recommended. Like, look, at the end of the day, as a service bureau, what's the first word? Service, right? And I think a lot of people forget about that. They're like, oh, I'm just selling software. It's like, yeah, but you got to service your customers. Like, oh, so-and-so left me. Well, no shit. You didn't talk to them for 10 months, expecting that they're just going to jump back into your software when you never even engaged them. You never even talked to them over the off season. And now they went somewhere else because you just disappeared basically. So service is a big part, and it goes a long way. And we've heard, oh man, I don't even know the amount of like the nightmare stories that we've heard of people just not being provided service, right? Where they're working with someone and it takes a week for them to get a response, or they're like, hey, I'm trying to set up an office and this E14's locked. Like, I need help with this. And then they're waiting a week to get some sort of an answer, not even an update, right? So service is a very important part. So that stuff comes with time, like the whole white glove experience where you can onboard someone and you can set them up and go through that process. And really, it comes from repetition, right? It comes from doing the process multiple times over to really understand, like, okay, how are people moving through? Where is there some confusion? Where are people getting stuck? What can we do? Where can we add in maybe another call step or something to reach out to them and get them moving forward? Or, just to give them that better experience when they're onboarding. We did a survey in our group recently because we had a meetup just to kind of do some planning. And we asked a lot of those questions, like, what did you like about onboarding? What didn't you like? And it was funny because we had people who joined our program in 2021 give us not the best reviews on our onboarding. They're like, yeah, it was kind of all over the place. Now, I don't know how well they really remembered it, but I did see that trend where like a lot of our initial members, they're like, it was kind of like bumpy, versus now they're like, oh, it was amazing. I always had someone that I could talk to. People called me multiple times, right? If I had questions, people would just call me and get me logged into all my accounts. Like it's a night and day experience that people got onboarding from our program 2 years ago to today. And so that is another thing that I think a lot of people get held up on, is that they try to have everything perfect. And it's like, nothing's ever going to be perfect in your business, especially even with a high ticket offer that you're coming up with or you're creating. You're going to be improving and adjusting on it over time. It's just really a matter of putting the offers out there, having conversations, and really learning from your customers. Like, what are they telling you? What do people want? And you can shape your offer around that. And white glove, like onboarding and support definitely helps with that, where people know that they always have someone to reach out to. And you and your team should never be afraid to actually call someone. That's like a big part of our company and our group. It's like, hey, let's call. Like, let's never hesitate to just get on the phone with someone and talk to them. They can't always call us directly.
Right.
That's a little bit different. But when we see that someone needs help, it's like, hey, we'll just call you.
Yeah.
Right? We're just going to call you directly and we'll get it squared away. And so that really goes a long way, where people are like, I don't get this kind of support anywhere else, so why would I bother going anywhere else? Which really helps retaining your software customers in your service bureau.
And then part of being able to have that white glove experience is to be able to sell a high ticket offer where you can get the systems and get the staff in place to be able to support that service.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be really hard to offer that amount, that level of support, when you're charging people like $100 for the software, right? Guess what they're getting? They're getting email support, because those $100 sales ain't paying any support team members, right? So unless you're doing a shit ton, like, it's going to be really hard to do that. Which kind of segues into the the pros and cons of.
I will segue into that, but with the way this industry is, and will probably be one of the pros and cons of this, is you may not be able to support them year one, but if you do a lot of those $100 sales and you don't do what typical tax offices do and spend all their money by October, you will be able to budget for, oh, okay, cool, I can get a VA or 2 or 3 VAs to help with these things that are support related, right? Mm-hmm. This is about budgeting.
Yeah. It will hurt a little more though in the beginning.
In the beginning.
You just have to snuggle through the struggle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the high ticket.
We already moved on.
I see a lot of people struggle. Before we go there, is rushing the sale, is getting on the phone with someone and spending 5 minutes talking to the person and just try to pitch them a $2,000 program. It's like, who the hell is going to invest $2,000 on you after 5 minutes? Like, no one is ever going to do that. And so I think really breaking down that process, and that's a lot of the stuff that we cover in our program, is like, look, you need to have a multi-step process. Anyone who's looked at the Service Bureau Accelerator or gone through that process, they'll understand what we mean. It's like, look, there's things that you have to go through because we want to get you to a certain area of the sales process before we talk to you. And then when we talk to you, if need be, we might do a couple calls with you. And that just helps being able to actually really inform the individual, make sure they understand what's included with the program and why it's worth the amount that you're charging, right? That's the biggest thing. You have to demonstrate to them why it's actually worth that to them in their business and in their personal life, whatever it is, to really get them to overcome any of those objections that they have so they actually make that investment. 5 minutes on the phone with a random stranger, and they're like, yeah, pay me $3,000. They're like, well, I don't even know who the hell you are, so I'll think about it. Click. All right, good luck. So anyways, that's a big thing that I see as well. A lot of people, because I've listened to a lot of some of the calls from our members that they send in, and yeah, people rush that sale a little too fast. So you really got to have some multiple steps.
They don't even know what they're buying.
Build that rapport. And they don't even know what they're buying. It's like, it's $3,000. They're like, well,
what's $3,000?
And if you keep listening in, we'll actually have another episode that goes into detail what those steps and systems look like for your sales pipeline.
Ooh.
Still stay tuned.
Ooh, tuned.
All right, let's get to the bottom of the barrel. Hello, ticket.
Hey now. Yeah. Well, Tia, why don't I flip the script and let me ask you about what are your thoughts on the pros and cons of low ticket?
So before meeting you guys, I was actually one for the deal. And I think the most important part that I kind of understood, or the belief I thought at that time, was that if you have something that is affordable, then you attract more people, because why not? Who doesn't want something for $100, or who doesn't want to save. But then actually going through the program, you realize that price is the last thing that a person is really concerned about. And when you get down to their why, what is triggering that sale, you actually can solve a problem. And that price is not always solving the problem, because they can buy it for $97 and now they have a 97 product with the same problem that's not being addressed. So if we take away the software and look at everything else, you really think about, how am I solving a problem? I think with the low ticket item, if you want to sell to someone who doesn't have a problem and literally their problem is just the price they're being charged for software, then it's a good fit. But in my opinion, some people think that is their initial issue, and then it starts to become way more. So just kind of know what you're selling when you are doing the low ticket. If you're not doing marketing, if you're not doing recruitment, packaging, you're not offering those things, and you're only offering that one particular item for that low ticket price, then just be direct about it so that there's no expectations.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That was an awesome response about people's problems, right? And we'll get into that in the next episode as well. But that is huge though, right? Understanding what someone's problem is in the sales. And this actually goes for low ticket and high ticket, right? Understanding someone's problem. But yeah, not everyone is just looking for cheap software. And sometimes with cheap software, that could be the con with it. With low ticket, you might be attracting the wrong crowd of people, where they're going to be a massive support headache. They don't know what they're doing. They don't do any volume. And now you got to support this person, and you're really not making anything on the back end. But
another way you could look at it, TT, say you have 100 low ticket people that you signed up, right? And you're like, well, I didn't really get a chance to speak to them about what's the real problem. Now, out of those 100 low ticket people, say 20 of them start producing. Then you have the conversation with those 20 and you find their problem. Now you upsell them to another package of people that actually perform instead of
and have problems that you can help
solve, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we've seen from, a lot of people wanted to do like tax academies, and like that was a big thing, and we showed them how to sell at high ticket. People made a shit ton of money. Great. The con of that was a lot of the people they sold did no production volume. So it's like, cool that you made the money, but the real benefit of this business is the back end residual, right? And that's where we want to focus on that volume. So how do we take that concept? You could still charge money, still create high ticket, but how do we widen that pool to people that will actually increase your bottom line? Because, you don't want to be selling academies to people that don't do anything. Like that's just a one ticket sale, and they probably won't come back and buy again, right? Because I didn't use it, I didn't do anything, right? You want to focus your efforts on the 20% of the people that are producing.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to jump into next, is like the pros of low ticket is like, look, at the end of the day, and that's exactly what you're just talking about, Baldeep, is like your objective as a service bureau is to grow by increasing your bank product volume. That's it. Cut and dry. Doesn't matter whether you're selling high ticket, low ticket, mid ticket, everything in between. Your objective is to grow by increasing your bank product volume. That's where the real money is made in the service bureau industry. And so the benefit of a low ticket is that you're not going to have price objections. You're going to have an offer that you can sell to a mass amount of people. And the objective, again, at the end of the day, is to just absorb volume, right? You want to grow by increasing your volume. So if you can go and sell 100 people at $100 a pop, yeah, there may not be a lot of money on the front end, but if most of those people are using the software, even if they're only doing 10, 20 returns each on average, that's going to be some pretty big numbers if you do that year over year and rinse and repeat that process. So that's where the low ticket is definitely a pro, because there's a lot of people who are always shopping for cheap software, right? There's a lot of people who want that, and you don't have any price objections when you're setting people up for low ticket. So it is a great way to get in front of a lot of people and really sign up a ton of people, especially if you're new at sales or, you're new in the service bureau industry. Just getting people set up on your software and going through that process, learning the process of enrolling someone in the banks, setting up their office, creating their prepare, all that kind of stuff just really helps you learn the back end of the business, so that then you can maybe start offering more support. Then you start seeing all these people, where their problems are, where their challenges are, and then that can help you shape a higher ticket program down the road if you want to do that. But low ticket is like, we love both low ticket and high ticket. Like I said at the beginning, there's no wrong way to do it. It's just there's different things you have to factor.
And if you are buying low ticket, for me, do not think you're going to get my phone number. You're not. Don't even follow me on Facebook. No DMs. You get one email and that's going to be answered between a 2-hour time period once a day. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
I do have a question for you all. Say you had someone that came to you that initially reached out to you because they saw your high ticket offer. And then after going through your sales pitch, realized that they don't need half of the things that you offer, but they do need some of them. Do you offer them a low ticket item?
No.
Or do you even have
Like,
Either you buy it or it's not a good fit.
that's going to happen all the time. And that's where people get fucked up in their head thinking they need to change packages to change. No. All right, cool. You don't need that part. All right, great. It's not relevant to you. Right. But the way that the packages that we show people how to put together are designed, the stack is supposed to be so valuable that you're not piecing out these and these things to make custom
Not a la carte
services. It's one deliverable. Whether they use that a portion of that deliverable or not is none of your damn business. Right. It's the same price.
Yeah.
And that's where people get screwed up on the sales process. They think that, oh, you know what? Let me remove these 3 items from here and drop that. You're never going to scale that way. Oh, cool. You don't need it. No problem. It's there if you ever want to.
standing on business, y'all? You take all of it or none of it.
That's like, especially how we sell, like with the Service Bureau Accelerator. It's someone's like, oh, well, what if I don't need the training? Well, then you don't really need to our program. Right? Like, it's fine. It's there, right? The way it's there if you're going to go through it. If you don't, what we've seen is people that go through it and actually do the things end up having more success than people that don't, right? It's up to you though. We don't force you.
And you know what's so crazy, Boldeep? So initially, and I have seen this happen because I do have people that come and do welcome calls multiple times a year. But initially you think you don't need it. And then it's that 1 year where you're like, oh, I need to revamp my contract. Oh, my package did come with this training or with these add-ons that I never use. And I've always said, you may not need it right now, or it may not be a need that you think you may use, but eventually it does come in handy. And I like, no, you're buying what you're buying. And if you don't use it, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, because it gets into the habit of like Boldeep said, of people trying to a la carte stuff. What happens is now you customize everything. That means that now you have to build like a separate, maybe a different training section with all those lessons removed, which you didn't have before. So that person is something different. But then you also have to make a note somewhere in a CRM or on a sheet or somewhere that, oh, this person only has access to this stuff, not that stuff. When you start to get into the habit of doing that and making everything customized a la carte for each individual person, tracking that stuff, it becomes a nightmare. And at scale, it does not work. That's why it's like, you just don't even do that from the beginning. Now, one thing I will say though, I'm going to play devil's advocate, is look, when you're starting out, and you made an investment, you're trying to get your money back. I get it, right? Sometimes a sale is a sale, right? You want that money. I get it. I understand it. I did that, when I started my business, I get it. But the sooner you get away from that, the better, because you're going to realize really quickly that all those custom a la carte, oh, this person wanted this, so I sold them what they wanted, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't allow your business to scale and move fast, and that's going to slow you down.
Everyone's going to want something.
So the sooner you realize that,
exactly,
everyone's going to want something different.
It's so much pressure.
Another way to look at what Ross just said, get the money. That doesn't mean you have to customize the package, right? Okay. Oh yeah, I can't really afford $1,400. All I could do is $600 something. Instead of removing stuff, hey, you know what? Just because I like you and you're my first sale, but I'm not going to tell you, I could do all that, right? Even if you're my third sale.
You can always negotiate.
Change the fulfillment just for that one person, right? Because you have to keep that fulfillment as streamlined as possible for scale, right? So, like, it just doesn't matter, right? The package is still the package. You may negotiate on price to get cash in the door, sure, right? But if it's not costing you anything extra to deliver it, then why remove it?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point. Right, you can always make deals with people, right? You can always.
We don't make deals with people though. For us,
no, hell no.
No.
We got two options. You can pay it outright, or you can split it up, and that's it. That's all.
But I do this, but I do that. Yeah, everybody that tells us that really doesn't do this or that.
Yeah, talk is cheap. We'll see how you do after your first year, and then we can talk. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why does it not matter at the end of the day?
Because at the end of the day, it's like whatever works for you, really. Like, it doesn't really matter if you're selling high ticket or low ticket. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, right? We sell high ticket, but we sold low ticket in the past as well, because we had the ability to do it. So it just doesn't really matter because it's up to you, the individual. Not one is better than the other, right? As you guys heard from this episode, they all have their pros, they all have their cons. There's good and bad on both sides of it. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. However, if you're new, again, I would go back to what we said earlier is like, look, your core objective is to acquire bank product volume. And so however you can go and do that, whether it is low ticket or high ticket, that's the main objective at the end of the day. That's why it doesn't really matter what you price your software. Some people are really good at sales, right? They've had sales experience. They've done it before. We've had a lot of people come into our program where they've done a lot of sales before and they just take our strategies and run with it. And they're just selling people, every single day they're selling a new person. Some people struggle at that. It's like, well, hey, maybe the low ticket is going to be a little bit better for you. Just play to your strengths and, do whatever works for you for your business.
Yeah.
What are the top 3 questions you need to ask yourself in determining whether you should do high ticket or low ticket?
Are you comfortable asking for money? Are you comfortable talking to people? I think a lot of it's going to come, if you want to go the high ticket route, a lot of it's going to come down to your confidence, right? That's probably the main,
your confidence
main thing.
in sales.
Confidence in sales, right? If you don't like talking to people, or you struggle like asking for money or this or that, it's going to be a bit more of a uphill battle in the beginning. Right? I mean, it's not impossible, but you have to practice and work at it, right? Having one conversation every 5 months isn't enough practice, right? You need to get in front of people. I think one of the things that people need to understand when they're starting out is you're going to fuck up your first bunch of calls. So you need to try and get those calls out of the way as soon as possible, right? Like that's what a lot of people overlook. They have one bad call, which is their first call, and they're scared and don't want to do it again, right? So how are you going to get better? Like we do our call reviews all the time, right? All the time we're reviewing our stuff. All the time we're changing our stuff. All the time we're upgrading, creating new trainings for our sales reps, all of that stuff, right? It's not because we don't do a good job at it already. It's because, well, how do we make it better, right? But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other questions to you, the 3 questions.
That's really good.
I think it mostly boils down to that. It's like, well, how confident am I in my ability to sell?
I think another thing.
I know some people.
Oh, go ahead, Tia.
I was about to say, I do know some other tax professionals who get, what is it? Gear my grinds.
Grind your gears.
Grind your gears.
Grinding gears. Whatever you say. When non-tax professionals get into our industry and do what we want to do, because they know sales. Just
what do you mean?
Speaking heard that, like, oh, well, I used to sell real estate leads, but the service bureau sounds like something great, so let me get into it, and because I have good sales skills. And I know a lot of tax professionals are boring. So
tell me how you really feel, Tia.
Yeah, some of us are boring. So how do we beef up our confidence and beef up our extrovertedness to begin to do sales naturally?
Have conversations. Start doing sales. There's only so much practice you can do. This is coming from myself personally. I never liked sales. I was always really intimidated. I was nervous. Like I really struggled at sales early on. But I went through a bunch of courses. I read books, and I was always looking for like the thing that's going to like finally click. Oh, now I'm going to know how to sell people. It doesn't work like that. You just have to start getting on the phone. All those trainings and like everything, those are just little tools that you need to be able to learn so that when it comes, you can possibly remember to say that thing. But the best way that you can get confident to be able to sell high ticket if you want, start low ticket and just start having conversations. Ask good questions, right? Like really spend time talking to people on the phone instead of trying to rush the sale and just trying to grab the money. Talk to the person, learn who the hell they are. What are they doing in their business, right? Learn about them. And then you're going to be able to find little things. They're called little hooks that you can little levers that you can pull on in the conversation, because they're going to tell you what they want to buy. They're going to tell you what they're looking for. They're going to tell you your problems. It's your job to listen when you're doing sales. Listen to it. You'll get better over time. Listen to your calls, because then you're going to be like, you're going to stumble somewhere, and then you listen to your call. You're like, oh shit, I should have said this. Cool. Now you know for next.
And just
time.
Because they tell you something doesn't mean you need to add it immediately. Okay, hey, that's interesting. Oh, I think I may have heard people mention that. It's something we're looking at possibly integrating into our program in the future. Like, you don't need to fucking go and say, okay, I'll go do that. Like,
I'll go do this too.
So I remember somebody, I don't remember who it was, but I remember this coming up. It's like, oh, this person wants to learn how to do business taxes and this. I'm like, so do you know how to do it? No, but I'm going to go figure why. You don't make any fucking money with that. Like, why do you care? Right? Like, hey, this is why it's not a good benefit. This is why it's something we won't consider or why we won't add. But guess what? We will be looking for resources to help you increase your knowledge. Right? Doesn't mean you need to go do it or figure it out. Go find somebody that makes money doing that and work out a deal with them. Right?
I would recommend, I don't think we touched on it, even if you're selling low ticket, to still add something that makes yourself stand apart, because I do feel like the low ticket pool is a little bit saturated.
Everyone feels everything.
That's a good point. So a couple of things.
We'll have everybody wrong this year on something else. Don't worry.
I mean, that's true, because you only attract what you see. So from my perspective, it appears to be saturated, meaning a lot of people are promoting the low ticket. So even in that low tickets realm, I still think it's important to make yourself stand apart. Even if yourself is the thing that makes you stand apart, being able to market that and put that to the forefront.
Yeah, like even when we trained on the low ticket, we're like, hey, you can include the software. Here's all the features and benefits that the software will have, that anybody that has that software will have. Well, here's our value asset package that you can go leverage, right? So now not everybody that's off the street has all these extra things. And here's this other what do we have at the come in the unbranded preparer development strategy that people were able to buy. Yeah. Right. Oh, well, here's a whole big ass fucking long training that shows EROs how to go add hundreds of preparers to their offices and build a virtual team. You think the average person's going to go have that in their package? No. So like there's other things you can put in there that you don't have to make, right? That's already done.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's a really good point to you that you brought up. And I just want to like double down on that again, like everything that Baldeep said as well. But no matter what, if you're doing high ticket or low ticket, you need to have an offer, right? And that's something we'll talk about in the next episode. But with low ticket, separating yourself from all the noise out there, because there is noise out there for some people, right? Some people are in all the tax groups and everyone sees everyone spamming the same shit, the same flyer on the same bullshit software with the same bullshit lines and the same freaking offer that every single other person has. So if you do want to sell low ticket, how do you separate yourself from everyone else out there, right? What can you do to separate yourself to be unique in the marketplace so that people go, oh, well, I haven't seen that before. It's all the same bullshit that everyone else has, but there's a bunch of other stuff that no one else has.
Yeah, you can be a goldfish, but be a different goldfish.
Exactly. Have a little sparkle.
Speaking of, wasn't there a book
Everyone doesn't need to be a shark.
What was that book called by Seth Godin? Is it Purple? Is it Purple Goldfish or is that Purple Cow?
I'm not sure. The marketing.
Hold on, we gotta drop
Purple
that.
Cow, maybe.
Yeah. There's a book about a purple goldfish or a purple cow or something like that. I think it's a marketing or sales book. Yeah.
Seth Godin's marketing. I mean, marketing and sales. They're fairly hand in hand. Cool. Well, anything else you guys want to add to this episode? Well, Baldeep is now on a rampant search for the purple cow. That's it. Marketing strategies.
How to be a purple cow or a sparkly goldfish.
There you go. Interchangeably.
That's a wrap for this episode.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed some of the topics that we discussed or you want to learn more about low ticket or high ticket, take a look in the link description, wherever you're watching this, on Spotify, YouTube, wherever else you may be watching these, or any of our clips on Instagram, whatever. Click the link in the description. It'll take you over to our page where you can register for one of our webinars. Take a look. Learn a little bit more about our program. If you have questions, you'll be able to book a call with one of our team members. While we do talk a lot about sales, we're not hardcore salespeople. The way that we like to sell is make sure you understand what you're looking at. Is this a good fit for you? So take a look, book a call with our team. We'll have a conversation. If it's the right fit, we'll walk you through the enrollment process and set you up in the Service Bureau Accelerator.
All right. Awesome. Till next time.
All right, guys.
See
take
you
care.
Guys.